Welcome to the Culture Climate on the Sister Speak show. The Culture Climate, checking the temperature in our culture's climate. I am Sister Speak, and you are listening to the Sister Speak show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action, a talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Sister, spiritual inspiration, shared through the arts. Sister, spiritual inspiration shared through Ayana, but you better call me Sister Speak. How you living? How you breathing? How you vibing? It's 10:20 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm recording from Dallas, Texas. And where are you listening from? Well, I want to thank you for joining. Shout out to my faithful, wonderful listening audience. I appreciate you. And welcome to my first-time listeners. This is the Speak Show Network. In totality, is rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. You're going to find out why. You're going to find out why pretty soon. Okay, so let's just get into it. When you're listening to the Sister Speak show, we encourage you and expect you to drink water. You need it. It's vital. It's crucial. It is imperative for your journey, spiritual warfare. It is so crucial and vital that dehydration can kill you. And that's the last thing that we want. Scuba gear, self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. But what do I need scuba gear for, Sister Speak? Because we're going into leagues of the sea where you need to be able to keep up. You need to be able to have on the right equipment to sustain yourself, to survive. The culture climate was created to have controversial conversations, to speak about taboo subject matters, to check the temperature on our culture's climate, and providing solutions for the pollution. It is imperative that there are people on the front lines for our village, just like the people that were on the front line for Montgomery, Alabama. You thought I forgot? Hold up. This is for Montgomery, Alabama, and for the people in our village who called themselves into action based on being chosen for battle, who stood up in the spirit of valor and executed what needed to be executed in order to say, I don't know who you thought this was, but you about to fuck around and find out what we are, who we are, why we are supreme, chosen. You can't beat us. We are a strong people when we are in synergy. I loved it. The brother that swam across the water, those waters are infested with crocodile. Nothing touched him. Nothing touched him. Nothing touched him. You better know when God's hand is on it. Now, some of you may have just been in your feelings about it. Why did it have to be so violent? You ain't going to make it. You're not going to make it. You can't be a punk and a sucker out here in these streets. You can't be a punk and a sucker in the spirit. You have to be able to war. You have to know when you've been called into battle. Are you kidding me? Shout out. This is for the people, my brothers, my sisters, who stood up in battle and won. Remember when I told y'all that there are some people who are consistently and will always be in the fuck around and find out season? Okay. Anyway, let's get into it. I just had to, I could not. Anyway, we're going to, first of all, let me check. How are y'all feeling about the last episode that I recorded? You know, the celibacy one. Yeah, I know. It's serious. We're not gonna hold back the punches. We gotta do what we have to do. We have to say what we have to say. Our brothers and sisters are in peril, some, and we are here to provide a panacea. Okay? A prescription, a remedy. Let's get into it. Tonight, the culture climate, just a little bit more explanation, is designed for you to really learn that straddling the fence is dangerous when it comes to a side. You have to be able to pick a side and stay on it. And if you are on the nation side and you are raising war against your own people, then some way, shape, or form, I look at you like litter, pollution. And there has to be a solution for that. Spiritual litter, spiritual pollution. And there has to be a solution for that. I want my brothers and sisters to understand that the culture climate is about calling our brothers and sisters to a point of allegiance to the village in totality. Okay? And there are a buffet of subject matters that affect us. Okay? And we can't run amok. We can't be loose in our thoughts, in our actions, in our deeds when it comes to the issues in society that are affecting us severely. In the village, severely. We cannot close our eyes to it, put our hands in our ears and act like we don't see what's going on, hear what's going on. We can't just be out here, you know, participating in the downfall of our village. So that's what the culture climate is about. It's about getting into it, talking about it, providing solutions about it, and continuing to raise awareness, standing on the front line. I'm not the only podcast that's on the front line for our village that has deep conversations about our village, our people, and where we are, who communicate with strong language. I'm not here to pacify you in a way that's going to make you apathetic or feel like there doesn't need to be anything done about the situation. You have to tell it like it is. We don't need to be sitting around here putting cotton candy on bricks. Just hand the brick over, okay? We have to be able to tell it like it is. Strong language, strong thoughts, strong ideas are necessary when you're trying to ring the alarm in the village. Tonight's episode on the culture climate. Syphilis, the outbreak. From pleasure to prescription to peril. Rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. This is going to continue to be a conversation when it comes to the sexual energy about our brothers and sisters. And yes, there is an outbreak of syphilis. And if you are sexually active, unprotected, you are at risk. If you are promiscuous, a gigolo, a Jezebel, if you are out here in these streets living your worst life, you are at risk. And the symptoms are nothing to play with. And sometimes a shock value is just what somebody needs. You have to ring the alarm. There is a fire. It just happens to be in the genitalia, in the genitals, excuse me. But it's also a fire on the inside. Our brothers and sisters, as I aforementioned in the previous episode, are hypersexual. But there's something going on. What is causing this outbreak? What's really going on? And why? How can it be stopped? What can be done to eliminate our brothers, our sisters, leading the way when it comes to statistics of STDs in our village? We're going to talk about it. Okay? Hang on in there. I appreciate you for being a wonderful listening audience. I'm really big chilling this evening. Big chilling. Like I'm on a real chill vibe. So hang on in there with me. No matter where you're driving, no matter where you're sitting, no matter what you're doing right now, I want to thank you for allowing the Sisters Speak Show network in totality to be the flavor in your ear and for adding us to your podcast shuffle. We will be right back after these commercial breaks. A glass of water. You can take the heat, so go ahead and stay in the kitchen. Just make sure you keep listening to the Sister Speak Show while you do it, because you're listening to The Culture Climate, raising the temperature in controversial conversations. Rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. Being able to pull back your sexual energy and have self-control in an area where you once didn't is an accomplishment. Being able to be focused because you are tired of the old you. Tired of the crying, tired of being disappointed, tired of being a part of the hit it and quit it, tired of the one-night stands, tired of being told that they love you when they really don't. They just wanted your sexual energy. You're also tired of telling people, no, you're not coming over and you will not be a booty call. You're serious about your celibacy. The feelings come and they go. Sometimes you're tempted and sometimes you're not. The overall objective is to remain celibate, but there are some people who don't care about your celibacy. Next on the vent session, pressed for pleasure. When your celibacy is tested, the dangers of being on demon time. Rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas.
Did you know that the Sister Speak Show is a syndicated podcast on Amazon Alexa and Sonos? Tell a friend. Also let them know that the show is rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. Thank you for downloading each episode on demand.
Vision, sound, action, create, inspire, impact, evolve. You are now activated.
Welcome back. You are listening to The Culture Climate. I am your host, Sister Speak. It would sound like I said I'm your host, Sister Speak. Wait a minute. I am delivered. Wait a minute. Where is the S and the T? Where's the S and the T at? I like to buy two consonants, an S and a T. I'm your host, Sister Speak. It sounds like I said it again. I am your host, Sister Speak. Let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? Syphilis, the outbreak, from pleasure to prescription to peril. Rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. The news clips, the clips that I'm going to show you are for educational purposes only. To raise awareness under the Fair Use Act of 1976, the Copyright Act of 1976. This is just to raise awareness, to educate my brothers, my sisters in the village about syphilis, the outbreak. We're going to go ahead and get into it. I may have some commentary in the clips. I may not. Yo no sé. Pero I'm here and I got y'all. I know you're like, Sister Speak, are you ever going to finish your Spanish sentences, or are you just going to give us bits and pieces of it? You know what it is. You already know what it is. But on a serious note, I do want to segue us into this topic because it is a serious matter. This outbreak is dangerous, and the symptoms are dramatic and traumatic. And the worst thing that could happen to you or to me is to have something inside of us and it give off no symptoms until it's in the third stage of its function, of its disease, of its virus, of its infection. And here you are, here someone may be, not knowing what's going on until they have a be still moment. And it suddenly ignites. And because of its rapid progression, got to get to the hospital, have to be prescribed, and hopefully treated. Hopefully your body doesn't reject the treatment. But it is humbling, wouldn't you say? It is frightening, wouldn't you say? How dangerous pleasure can be. How dangerous skin-to-skin contact can be. We're going to get into it. Hold tight. Listen well. There is a part in the clip where, in the audio clip, where I found a clip about Thailand, but it did not go the way that I expected it to go, but I didn't want to have to start over with my recording because it was kind of in the middle of it. But so I may just end up, just kind of like skipping past it. I don't know. But when you hear it, it has some subtitles to it. So you're going to hear them speaking in their language. And it's really not conducive to what I wanted to flow. So I'm just kind of forewarning you in advance. But you're a wonderful listening audience. You're wise. You'll sit through it with me. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, let's get into it. I thank you. And we're going to go ahead and enter into the league, this particular league of the sea, concerning pleasure, prescription, and peril.
Power the Factor Uncensored. Another reason to wear condoms and keep those STD tests up to date. Cases of syphilis are on the rise. Syphilis, it's one of the oldest STDs, first recorded, get this, back in 1490, the 1490s, and it's still around. According to the CDC, Texas has the highest number of babies born with syphilis in the country, meaning adults are passing it on to the children. Nearly 700 of those cases have been reported. The U.S. as a whole has seen the largest jump in cases in decades. The CDC says cases have increased by 32% between 2020 and 2021. Let's bring in OBGYN, Dr. Marcel Thompson, to talk about this. And when, Dr. Thompson, when I look at those numbers, 2020, 21, we're looking at pandemic times.
Correct.
And so why do you think, were people at home bored and they took their nasty asses out and have unprotected sex? What?
I think it's a combination of that and these apps. You know, a lot of the article did mention so far as, you know, a lot of the apps, it's a lot easier now to hook up. And I think between that and just a lot of people had a lot of bent up, and they're out. Unfortunately, out not using protection.
Now, for those who don't know exactly what is syphilis, what are the effects or condition you get if you have syphilis?
Correct. There's about 4 stages of syphilis. The first stage, some people will get maybe a sore in the genital area, maybe a rash. And a lot of people it'll go away, so there's no matter, but it stays in the body. And it stays in the body, it could cause like a lot of dementia and further. It causes eye problems. It causes a lot of different, it's called the great mimicker because it causes a lot of different types of things that can relate it back to syphilis. So if caught early, if you come in and see it, it's very treatable. Fortunately, it's treated with penicillin. So if caught early, and if the provider is very aware, they could catch it very early.
And are we talking about both men and women showing symptoms and signs of this if they get it?
Correct. Both men and women will sometimes they'll have a rash on their palms and their hands, and may have a sore, but it's a painless sore. So they may like, oh wow, what's that? But then it'll go away. They don't think two things about it. So, it's very rampant. And then like in congenital, we're seeing with the 32%, where the mother passes it on to the baby. Now, we test a lot during prenatal stage. We test at least twice when they first come in and toward the end for syphilis, and we could treat it during pregnancy. But if a woman doesn't do any prenatal care, or she lacks prenatal care, then it could go undiagnosed.
And if you pass this along to your child, is there any culpability that you face for, obviously, some kids are born with HIV, they're born, with a drug addiction. Could the parents be held culpable by law enforcement if the child is born with an STD?
Well, I mean, a lot of people who, particularly if they didn't have good prenatal care, so they're not culpable, they're just treated. So they're not, nothing's happened.
You won't be arrested.
Right, you won't be arrested or anything. The key thing I think that the takeaway from this is that, we need to get back to just using condoms. We need to get back to understanding everybody's got pretty lax since the HIV has become more treatable. And so now that it's more treatable, people are coming very lax with it, and we're seeing that the findings still with the HIV and the syphilis cases with men having sex with men are the increase. You're seeing that increase in syphilis, and then of course they're having bisexual intercourse with females.
And is that the population where the numbers are highest with same-sex gay individuals?
Correct. And then the transmission to most of females. Now, of course, and it of course affects the black and brown community. Most of the cases that we see that are affecting black and brown women.
And so, and as we said in the intro, 1490, the 1490, how is it still around?
Yeah.
Are we only treating it? There's no cure for it?
No, it's a cure for it. It's just the public relation. We almost had it. We thought really back in the 80s or so, we damn near had it, taken care of. But it made a resurgence and stuff within like I said, when the HIV kind of started getting better treatments, we started seeing more of the sexual norms start to be relaxed. And when that happened, we're now seeing, we're back to numbers back in the love generation, 1970.
Wow.
These numbers are now, so in some places around the world, it's gone up 900%. So the resurgence
it's Russian roulette time now.
Yeah. So the importance of protected sex is imperative. I think the last time I was on, we talked about the PEP and the ability to have doxycycline treat people who have chlamydia or gonorrhea and syphilis by taking PEP, the doxycycline pill after having sex in this particular age group, or this men having sex with men, decrease the rate of the transmission from people getting the disease.
And should there be some type of public service campaign now, especially in the LGBTQ community, if the numbers are highest there, but also in the regular population, as well?
Yeah, I think.
Or heterosexual population.
Yeah, and programs like shows like yours who are bringing it out. Hey, we need to talk about this. Hey, there's a dialogue, brings us back to that public awareness, that public health awareness. So it's very meaningful that we start this dialogue, not only about that, but about sexuality. And it's happening in our community, and we need to be able to really bring it out and talk and have discussions about this.
All right, Doc, always good to see you. And let me clear that up. I didn't mean regular. You're about to get my ass canceled.
Okay, so I didn't want to interrupt that because I knew that clip was informative and it would really catapult us into what we need to be discussing, what we need to be talking about. Of course, yes, there are more clips. I just want you to know that when I speak about the things I speak about, I'm on point. And I'm not on point from a self-righteous standpoint. I'm on a point, I'm right from a standpoint of I care about the village and I know my village is in trouble, and I'm not going to sell my soul and turn my back on the village. Somebody has to stay. Somebody has to be true. Somebody has to be still holding on to the energy of we are about our people. We are for our people. We stick with our people. We care about our people. We nurture our people. We pour into our people. We educate our people. We care about our people. We love our people. That's what it's about. But our people have to participate in a high vibration and not a low. As I mentioned, and I will continue to mention, Jezebel, incubus, and succubus have gripped our village and have diminished some of us into only thinking about pleasure and not thinking about the perils of it, not thinking about the prescriptions that may have to come, not realizing how you can be a pariah to yourself and to others, an outcast. That's what a pariah is. Being able to be cognizant of these things is crucial, to have a sore and because it doesn't hurt, be like, it'll go away. But I don't know about you, but if a sore comes on your vagina or comes on your penis, that should raise the alarm. I don't care if it hurts or not. So my question is, y'all may hear some noises at night from nature because I have my window open, okay? It is what it is. However, the question at hand would be, what is it that's making our brothers and sisters shrug their shoulders to their own sexual health, to their own well-being and welfare? Not wanting to be a clinician in their own life, not wanting to pay attention to the red flags, because once a sore is there, then the plague has begun. The smiting has started. The Most High God is getting your attention. A rash? I never knew it was okay to be rashy without a solution. You know our people. You know how we do. Ashy and rashy, crusty and dusty, musty. Those are like fifth cousins. Who talks to their fifth cousins? I'm just playing. But seriously, ashy, crusty, musty, dusty, and rashy? Mm-mm. Why are we ignoring the signs? Why? Let's go.
Reveals there's an increasing number of babies who are being born with syphilis. Fox 26's Gabby Hart joining us live in the newsroom. So, Gabby, I understand that this report shows that Texas is actually leading the nation when it comes to congenital syphilis cases.
That's right, Rashi. Now, the number of babies being born with syphilis is rising at a concerning rate. I spoke with a doctor who says that more attention needs to be surrounding this issue. She also says that our city, state, and nation really need a refresher course on the importance of sexual education.
I don't believe that sexual health in general is being discussed enough.
The CDC recently released a report revealing congenital syphilis cases increased by 32% nationwide between the years 2020 and 2021. And Texas accounted for the highest number, with nearly 700 congenital syphilis cases reported.
Texas, like a lot of southern states, are experiencing a surge in STI, in particular syphilis. The reason why I believe this is happening is because it is kind of a quiet infection.
Congenital syphilis is when a mother passes the infection to her unborn baby. According to the CDC, the rise in these cases resulted in at least 220 stillbirths and infant deaths. And even if the child survives, there can be serious health consequences.
Blood problems, bone problems, liver problems, and in symptomatic babies, or babies that show evidence of infection, these babies can have neurosyphilis, where the infection goes to the central nervous system.
Dr. Irene Stafford specializes in maternal fetal medicine at UT Health and Memorial Hermann. She says there's been an increase in syphilis and other STDs in general, and she notes that some communities are at a greater risk than others.
It disproportionately affects a minority patient populations and underserved, and we know that in Houston and other parts of the United States, these communities have been disproportionately affected.
Dr. Stafford says while congenital syphilis is a concerning and growing problem, there's really a simple solution.
It can be completely treated with just a simple shot of penicillin for pregnant individuals. So the most important thing to prevent congenital syphilis or syphilis infection is to just get screened, tested, and treated.
Yeah, Dr. Stafford says that early prenatal care is really essential. Pregnant women should be screened for syphilis at the beginning and later on in their pregnancy. But she also emphasizes that everyone who is sexually active should be getting screened as well. There are low cost and even free clinics that will do STD and STI testing. If you'd like more information on that, you can find a list on fox26houston.com. From the newsroom, I'm Gabby Hart. Rashi, back to you.
I think the biggest thing is people don't want to know. People don't want that reality to just be the actuality of what's going on. To actually, I feel like our people are really finicky about rules and regulation law. And I find it really interesting that our people, most of y'all drive, right? And you know the rules of the road. And if you don't follow the rules of the road, there are consequences if you get caught. Now, there are some times where you may have broken the rules and you haven't gotten caught at that point in time. But if you continue to be lazy about it, if you continue to shrug your shoulder about it and think, oh, shoot, I got this, ain't nobody going to stop me. That's when, here comes that symptom, i.e. a ticket, the police blurping you, and then you having to deal with having to pull over and then go through that entire process. Why is it that our people know how to stop at a stop sign? Is it raining? Oh my. Well, come on and clear it on out, Lord. Please don't send a tornado. Please don't send a tornado. Anyway, moving ahead, y'all, we need the rain too. It's been like 106, 105. Anyway, getting back on topic, okay, y'all, I had to pause because I didn't know which way the storm was going to go. If I was going to have to dive underneath the pool table or go get in the closet. But it was a calm storm. So I really feel like that was significant to what we're conversing about this evening tonight on the culture climate. Getting back to my point, you know how to stop at a stop sign. You know what the yellow light the red light and the green light signify, you know, what the commands are. There are just certain commands that we follow on an everyday basis that are for our benefit, for our protection, for our safety. So why are we not able to then extract that same thought process, that same form of obedience and submission to ourselves when it comes to our sexual safety? listening to listening to the gynecologist speak about the transmission process lets me know that the stop sign, the yield sign, the one-way sign, the wrong way sign, the light signal, all of that, speed bumps, you know, it doesn't matter. There's even some times where it'll show you what your speed is, and you may find yourself having to slow down to comply with that speed limit because you're not trying to get blurped. But why are we not concerned about getting blurped when it comes to our sexual activity? That's why I'm pushing the celibacy because although these experts and these gynecologists are saying, look, wear a condom, I'm saying wear common sense and cease and desist and be celibate, because that's the only way, as I aforementioned and will continue to mention, that you're going to be able to discern and protect yourself. The last thing you need, I need, we need is a disease, and then to be getting with one another and spreading it. There's no pleasure in that. There's nothing climactic about that. There's nothing orgasmic about knowing that in the midst of our lust, in the midst of our coming together, we are transmitting a disease and then getting pregnant and then passing it on to the child. Because if I don't have adequate health care, I don't have access to consistent prenatal care, so I'm passing it along. And thankfully, there are those who catch it and can get that shot, but nevertheless, and all the more, why can't we submit, yield, stop, and recognize the wrong way in our own life when it comes to sexual activity and the outbreak of syphilis?
In the number of infectious syphilis cases in the Houston area, the health department says the number rose 59% in just the first half of 2018. Our Andy Sirota is live tonight with who's most at risk. Andy.
Hi, Keith. In the early 2000s, syphilis was close to being eliminated. But since then, health officials say every few years they've seen a spike in cases. Now, syphilis symptoms aren't always noticeable, so a person may have it and not even know they're infected. Most at risk, anyone who's had multiple sex partners. Health officials say they're particularly concerned about gay and bisexual men who engage in anonymous sex. They've also seen an increase in syphilis cases among women. Last year, there were 30. So far this year, they're at 47.
We want to make sure women get tested because with syphilis, they do run the risk of the baby being dying.
So far, there have been 263 reported cases in the first 6 months of 2018, compared to 165 during the same period last year. Health officials also warn that if you've already been diagnosed with an STD, you're at a much higher risk of getting infected. One way to reduce your risk: make sure your partner wears a condom every time you have sex. Syphilis may start with a painless sore that usually goes away in 3 to 6 weeks. Other symptoms include swollen glands, patchy hair loss, and a non-itchy rash on your hands or the soles of your feet.
You may have syphilis, and later on, a few years, you may discover that you have damage to your organs, internal organs.
Now, there are so many options to get tested here in the city of Houston. You can go to your doctor. You can go to an STD clinic. In fact, you can call the Houston Health Department to find out where there's a testing location closest to you. We have posted that phone number for you on click2houston.com. You'll find it along with this story. Reporting live near downtown tonight, Andy Sirota, KPRC, Channel 2 News.
Okay, this is why I always put the rated R banner on my flyer. And I tell you that this show is rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. I'm about to go there. Just letting you know that. Anonymous sex. I'm trying to figure this out, even though I know the answer. That's that sneaky link. Sneaky links are dangerous, obviously. And the anonymous sex, I don't know you, you don't know me, but I know that we both have this energy that we need to get off. And we're both unbalanced, and we are both possessed by some sexual demons that have a stronghold and are luring us into these snares. And because of the risk of the behavior, on this many risks, we are entering into propositioning for a plague. You're propositioning for a plague. You are auditioning for a penis plague. A vagina plague. A vaginal plague. A penile plague. But I find it very interesting that when engaging in fellatio, some people prefer that you take your tongue and tease or even put it, in the tip of the urethral opening of the head of the penis. And you know, right in there's all of this disease. My gosh. And we're not even thinking about it. Thinking about the petri dish inside of the penis. But you want that. You want somebody to, pleasure you in that way during fellatio. But you won't go to the clinic and let them stick that clinical swab in your urethral opening to figure out what's going on. Because that's the only way they're going to be able to test you, brother. They've got to swab. They've got to put it in there. They've got to see what's going on. They've got to be able to extract what's bugging you. And it's really interesting how you'll pull your penis out any other time, but not at the time that's most crucial, which is in front of a doctor. Which makes me wonder, and I don't want to wonder too far, what's really going on with your wisdom? Because then the bisexual aspect of it is coming back home and then infecting whoever you're laying with. And then if she is promiscuous, then she goes and passes it along because nobody wants to use a condom. And nobody wants to use celibacy. That's the peril of the pleasure. It's bigger than using a condom. It's completely refraining from a sexual embrace in order to save your life and the lives of those in the community.
This morning, we are focusing on the recent update from the Houston Health Department about a rise in syphilis cases among women in our area. So joining me this morning to talk about the rapid community outreach response, STI prevention specialist Marlene McNeese. Good morning, Ms. McNeese. Thank you for joining me.
Hi, good morning.
So y'all are saying there's a 128% increase. So tell us, what exactly is syphilis? Who would be most at risk for this?
Sure. Syphilis is a bacterial sexually transmitted infection that can cause serious health problems if left untreated or undiagnosed. And so there are basic stages of syphilis. We are really most concerned about primary and secondary stages of syphilis. These are the most infectious stages. And people may have symptoms, but they may attribute them to other causes and just ignore that syphilis may be the underlying problem. So we really hope that everyone sort of takes heed to this awareness about what we see in the rising cases and the rising rates and seek out appropriate treatment.
Because really people could ignore it because the symptoms are a little bit like regular cold and flu, and therefore you might not protect yourself and could continue passing it on to others. Is that right?
Correct. And so in the early phases, as I said, there are signs and symptoms that mirror or mimic other infections. And so people may see sores that may or may not be painless. So they may attribute a rash either in the genital area or in other parts of the body and just, attribute it to other things. And so we hope that if folks are indeed having unprotected encounters with partners who they don't know what their sexual health status is, to really seek primary medical treatment from their doctor and just discuss their risk and their options for testing.
But tell me, why the increase now? I mean, we've actually been reporting that syphilis has been on the rise since 2020, but what's happened that led to this increase?
Sure, and because it's an infection that is so easily treatable and curable, we were at very, very low levels for a number of years. And so what we are seeing is that despite, screening guidelines for pregnant women, where we are required by law to screen pregnant women in the first semester and the third semester, we still are seeing congenital cases where moms are passing along the infection to babies. So we believe there may be screening, under-diagnosing in women of childbearing age. Mm-hmm. And we also believe that some of the attributing causes to this new increase is really, I think people have had a bit of, apathy to thinking that syphilis may not be a problem anymore. We don't talk about it a lot in the media. And so I think people have just been lulled into a sense of complacency that syphilis is not the problem that it is. And as I said, it's so easily treatable and curable. Yeah. We were at very, very low levels in Houston many years ago. And now we just want the public to be aware that these rates are really, really rising. And so we know that folks need to be screened, even if they suspect something is going on, or even if they don't suspect something may be going on.
Well,
just
one
having
last thing,
these conversations with your primary care provider.
But how are you going to mitigate the spread? I mean, how can people get help now?
Sure. First and foremost, if they do have a primary care provider and they are indeed sexually active, making sure they have a conversation about getting tested and screened for syphilis, because if they are positive, it's easily treatable and curable. For those that are without a primary care provider, we certainly in our Houston Health Department health centers are offering services to treat and diagnose syphilis. So we are waiving fees currently for individuals who are seeking out support in our clinics. We have 3 clinic locations throughout the Houston area. So folks can just get to a medical provider either through us or through their primary care doc and be able to get those questions answered and get the right tests so they can get the right treatment and cure.
Okay, Marlene McNeese, I appreciate your input this morning. All good points, and I appreciate you joining us live for our broadcast.
Of course, thank you.
Marlene was like, look, don't ever have me be up at 7:30 again. Hey, Marlene, we're so happy to have you. Thanks. Okay, Marlene is tired of y'all, okay? She's tired of talking about the 128% increase. Marlene is tired of looking at the village falling off, burning on fire. Tired of it. Tired of us leading in statistics where we should just know better. But that pleasure, ooh, that pleasure and that lust and that must, and the must that comes from creating the must. There is this lure into this death trap that the enemy wants my people, our people in the village to go to. Excuse me. One of the number one ways to target us is through sex. Is to make us feed our flesh sexually without any use of sagacity, wisdom. We need to be sagacious when it comes to our body and what we're doing. What the fuck would make anybody have a rash down there and say, oh, it's nothing, it'll go away? Ma'am and sir, ma'am, what is this about? Why are we so nonchalant? Are we that far gone as a culture, as a people, that we have forsaken our moral compasses? A rash, a sore that went away. I'm shutting down production if anything like that were to happen to me. I'm not eating. I don't want to talk. I want this off of me and out of me. The atmosphere shifts if something like that were to happen to me. And I'm grateful that I am in a consistent season where I am celibate, where I refuse and I refrain from all form of embrace in order to protect myself from a plague that I can get from pleasure. They say that the plague has been around since, I'm calling it a plague, has been around since 1490. 1490? Mm-mm. It's been around way longer than that. Our people, some just don't get it. And you have to recognize a plague that comes from your pleasure. Some people don't want to shut production down. They want to keep filming. They want to keep going. Why should we shut production down? Just because of a little mishap. The show must go on. What stays in syphilis, what goes on in syphilis stays in syphilis. Okay, here comes the Thailand clip I was telling you guys about. Just listen. It's more focused on HIV management and how they have consistently been able to implement a program that makes it to where women are really healthy during their pregnancy. And I'm just trying to, excuse me, that's my water, my gallon of water, trying to see where the Western world went wrong when it comes to programs, organizations that are in place to provide a better health regimen and a better place for acquiring a healthier lifestyle for our people through pain management, through, doctor visits and things of that nature. There's a lot of money, and we have more money than Thailand does, but for some reason, they have been able to come together and create a health system that works for those who have been affected by HIV. Very interesting. Just bear with it. You'll hear me get frustrated and cut the clip and move on to something else. Let's do this.
Anya Nopalit is a crab fisherwoman. 16 years ago, she was thrilled to learn she was pregnant, but then she received devastating news.
See, this is why I said that I was a little upset, because I'm not going to read the subtitles. And so we're just going to walk in the spirit with her and listen and just feel like what she's talking about, just from the inflection of her voice. And just listen, okay? We're going to get through this.
เรารู้นะว่าเราเสียใจก็เสียความรู้สึกตรงที่ว่าทำไมต้องเป็นเราอะไรเงี้ย
Depressed but determined to keep her child, Anya learned she could protect her baby. In 2000, Thailand was one of the first countries in the world to start providing free antiretroviral medicine to pregnant women. Anya's son was born HIV.
See what I'm saying? In the world, we're slacking. Not where. This particular place that we are inhabiting in America is slacking. Ooh. And any other country that has not implemented this process is slacking. Why are you not on board with this? I'm speaking to all the continents. Why? Those in healthcare, those in legislation, those in power. Why is this not all across the world? Shame. Shame. That's a shame.
Free. He is now 15 years old. Thailand's early political commitment to an AIDS-free generation has saved many lives.
ประเทศไทยเราเองเนี่ยร่นมาไม่ใช่แค่15 ปีเราเริ่มต้นมาตั้ง20 กว่าปีแล้วนะ
The country's health system provides quality services in even the most remote areas. Nearly all pregnant women are screened for HIV and deliver their babies in hospitals.
Counselor นะซึ่งอบรมมาอย่างต่อเนื่องนะตั้งแต่ในเรื่องของความรู้พื้นฐานจนกระทั่งเพิ่มเติมมาเป็นระยะโดยเฉพาะเรื่องของสูตรยาต่างๆ
Health authorities have constantly improved treatment in line with international standards. Initially, pregnant women living with HIV were given a short course of one drug. Now they start lifelong, highly active ART as soon as they test positive.
มาช่วยให้ลูกเราปลอดภัยจากเชื้อที่เรามีอยู่
Community leadership has ensured mothers living with HIV are linked to hospitals and supported throughout their pregnancy. Anya is a member of the Best Friends Club at the Tamai Hospital.
ชมรมเราเนี่ยเข้าไปทำงานให้คำปรึกษาในคลินิก ANC ร่วมกับเจ้าหน้าที่ในโรงพยาบาลค่ะ
These persistent efforts by community groups and
rise in syphilis cases across Virginia.
This is according to the Blue Ridge Health District. A doctor with the Virginia Department of Health says the syphilis rate among women has increased 406%, and in men, cases are even higher at 721%. People ages 30 to 39 have the highest rates in Virginia.
The message to the public, it's really important to get tested to make sure this is the best way to tell if you've been infected.
If it's not treated in its early stages, she says serious complications can occur. Testing can be done at most health centers.
In this video, we're going to cover the different stages of syphilis, which is a sexually transmitted infection, or STI, that spreads when you have vaginal, anal, or oral sex with someone who has the infection. Syphilis is caused by a bacteria, and antibiotic medicine can treat it. However, untreated syphilis can lead to serious health problems, including blindness and damage to your brain, heart, eyes, and nervous system. So what are the stages of syphilis? Well, syphilis can progress through 4 different stages. The infection causes different symptoms in each stage. Now, people are very contagious in the first and second stages and can easily pass the infection on to their sex partners. And the stages of syphilis are primary, secondary, latent, and tertiary syphilis. So let's take a look at primary syphilis first. Well, the first stage happens 2 to 12 weeks after exposure to someone with syphilis. During this stage, a smooth, hard sore called a chancre develops on your genitals or mouth. Now, a chancre is small and usually painless, so you might not even know that it's there. The sore will go away on its own within a few weeks or months. However, this does not mean that you don't have syphilis anymore. If you don't receive treatment with medication, the infection will then move on to the second stage. Now, you can pass syphilis on through vaginal, anal, or oral sex during this stage. Now, the next stage is secondary syphilis. About 1 to 6 months after the syphilis sore goes away, a rough, bumpy syphilis rash will appear. Now, this rash can cover your whole body, including the palms and soles of your feet. The rash doesn't usually itch, and you may also have symptoms such as fever, fatigue, wart-like sores, muscle aches, weight loss, headaches, hair loss.
Just to let you know, it's not your phone, it's not you. That pause was the picture showing the rash. Okay? So I advise you all to please, in your free time, definitely maybe after lunch, or maybe, I don't know when to eat it, because after you see it, it's going to make you think twice about eating anything. So that's why there was a pause.
And swollen lymph nodes. Now, you can pass syphilis infection during this stage during vaginal, anal, or oral sex. Now, these symptoms can come and go for months or years, and just because the syphilis rash has gone or you're not having any of the symptoms that I mentioned doesn't mean that you no longer have the infection. You will still need treatment with medication, and without treatment, the infection can move on to the latent stage. This brings us on to the third stage, which is the latent syphilis stage. Now, if you don't receive treatment during the first two stages, the infection can move into the latent stage. In this stage, there are no outward signs or symptoms of syphilis, but some people might experience mild flare-ups from time to time. Now, at this stage, the infection can damage your heart, bones, nerves, and organs, and this stage can last up to 20 years. Now, it's rare to pass syphilis to your sex partners during the latent stage, but without treatment, the infection can progress to the late stage. Now, the fourth stage is late or tertiary syphilis. For many people, symptoms don't progress past the latent phase, either because the infection cures itself or because the symptoms are too mild to notice. About 20% of people do progress to the late syphilis phase, which causes a range of serious health problems. The problems can include brain damage, so dementia and cognitive health problems, heart disease, as well as movement disorders and muscle problems, nerve damage, seizures, and even vision problems, including blindness. So why is all of this important to know? Well, I think there are three main reasons. Firstly, syphilis is a sexually transmitted infection that is on the increase. When I was at medical school in 2008, I was told that it was uncommon. However, in 2022, the levels in the UK were at their highest since 1948. It is still a relatively uncommon STI, and to give you some context, chlamydia is about 20 times more common. However, it is still important to be aware of given the increasing incidence. The second reason is that syphilis is treatable, and picking it up at an early stage can help to prevent later complications. So if you've got symptoms of syphilis, a sexual partner has told you that they have syphilis or any other STI, you recently had sex with a new partner but didn't use a condom, you're pregnant or planning to get pregnant and you think you might have syphilis, or if you've injected drugs using a needle also used by someone who might have syphilis, you should get a test. The third reason is that syphilis can be prevented. Using condoms consistently and correctly can help to prevent against syphilis as well as other STIs. Now, I'll make a more detailed video later on about treatment, but for more information on this and much more on this topic, check out the links in the description box of this video, including where you can access free STI testing in the UK and USA. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.
You are currently listening to 911 Syphilis the Outbreak, from pleasure to prescription to peril, on the culture climate, addressing the temperature in our culture's climate on the Sister Speak show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action, a talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. Rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. This is your regular routine. What's different than any other day? You're not even thinking about the fact that there's pain behind the pleasure that you're seeking. The latest episode of Coming to the Stage on the Sister Speak show is available on demand. The last thing that anybody has time for is to get sick. Nobody wants to be man or woman down, but this rash, the itching, the vomiting, the fatigue, you and your partner know that something is wrong. This is going to require a trip to the ER. You're about to find out that you are a part of the statistics. There is an outbreak, and you and your reckless decisions have caused you to put your life on the line. I know you want to turn back the hands of time because you did not envision your life ending up like this. Next on the Culture Climate, syphilis, the outbreak. From pleasure to prescription to peril. Rated R for strong language, thoughts, and ideas. This is your regular routine. What's different than any other day? You're not even thinking about the fact that there's pain behind the pleasure that you're seeking. The latest episode of Coming to the Stage on the Sister Speak show is available on demand now. Rated R for strong content, language, and thoughts. On this episode, pornography, behind the scenes, the price of pleasure, contracting STDs, and quitting the industry. On Coming to the Stage, we're covering theater, TV, and film. Click the link in the bio for the latest episode on the Sister Speak show, where contemporary meets vision, sound, and action. A talk show for great minds that create, inspire, impact, and evolve. There's a price to pay. Can you afford it? Although she's smiling, she has a secret, and this secret could destroy the entire dynamic of the family. A man expects his child to be his child. He expects Junior to be Junior if he's senior. However, paternity fraud continues to run rampant. It is not yet a crime punishable by law, so women continue to get away with it, targeting men after men who believe that they are the father. That means that people believe that these are their nieces, nephews, grandchildren, and cousins. How can a woman celebrate a lie? Who's devastated in the end? The children. Next on the Culture Climate, the lineage leech. When paternity fraud destroys the family tree.
Vision, sound, action, create, inspire, impact, evolve. You are now activated.
Welcome back. You are listening to the Culture Climate, checking the temperature in our culture's climate. I'm your host, Sister Speak. 911. Let me turn this down. Uh-oh, now I can't hear it. Bet. Okay, sorry. I apologize. Anyway, 911, syphilis, the outbreak, from pleasure to prescription to peril. What do you say? You hear it. You can't avoid it. It's the facts. And now we move to, what do we do about it? You know, I don't know. Maybe you may have contracted, syphilis and caught it and treated it. And that was the catalyst to you saying, hey, I'm going to be celibate. I'm going to pull back because I'm not trying to catch any more plagues from my pleasure. I want to, really rethink what I'm doing with my life, because that's a wake-up call. Our vaginas, our penises like I have one. I don't have one. The vagina and the penis were not meant to be plagued like that. But the plague is there for as a punishment for our disobedience from engaging in things that we have no business engaging in. And I think people sometimes think that because you cannot see the Most High God, because you cannot see Jesus the Christ, Yahweh Shai, that you get a pass. That there's nothing to put a bounty on your head and want to apprehend you. We've been giving a mind to where we should be able to apprehend ourselves and pull ourselves back and say, look, enough is enough. I think when I listen to the ways that it can be transmitted orally, vaginally, anally, it should make you really think twice about engaging in cunnilingus and fellatio. Pause. I'm about to pause the music. Cunnilingus and fellatio, sister speak. A moment that's pleasurable. It feels great. It feels good. I know, but at what cost? We have got to mature to a point in our thought process that we add another segment to our thinking called at what cost? At what cost is this going to, deplete me? What is the price on this particular choice that I'm about to make? Can I afford the recall? Can I afford to purchase this pleasure? Because if you say to some women, you can't have you shouldn't allow anybody to perform cunnilingus on you. The backlash is going to be tremendous. The middle fingers are going to be multiplied. The you trippins are going to be shouted to the highest, because you're telling me that something that feels good to me, something that I can hold over somebody's head and say, you wasn't saying that when you was eating mine. You mean to tell me that something that makes me quiver and shake and have an orgasm or climax, I gotta possibly maybe eliminate in order to protect the village as a whole? You mean I have to do my part? I really believe that it's going to require us to stop that as well. I don't give a fuck about the pleasure. I care about the peril. I ain't trying to take any prescriptions. So you see the steps from pleasure to prescription to peril. I have to care about the prescription and the peril, and I also have a right to want to have to participate in that process. So if I guard my pleasure, if I reduce what makes me feel good, then I'm doing my part and I'm protecting myself and my partner and potentially my child. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with not shunning wisdom? What's wrong with not wanting to be a host of a disease, of a plague? we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Oh shit, if you don't do it, somebody else will. You know, that energy, which means that, that at all costs, I'm going to get it off. And I don't care about anything that may come with it because I don't have the at what cost mentality in my spirit. So I'm dangerous. I'm willing to carry a disease and give somebody one because I can. Who are you to tell me what to do with my body? You didn't even create your body. That's why somebody can tell you what to do with it. You didn't create it. So it's a matter of disrespect to our creator if you are on the it's my body, I can do what I want to with it energy. Okay? With fellatio, the same thing. You don't know where the penis has been. You hope it's been where it says it's been, but do you have a tracker on it? Are you able to completely, 100% know the truth about this penis here and where it's really been? Can you trust if you put it in your mouth that it won't betray you by giving you a sore, a rash? At what cost are you willing to forsake the wisdom and the knowledge about pleasure plagues? And because you don't want to hurt his feelings, you don't want to lose him, you don't want anybody else to give him any head, fellatio, you're going to go through it anyway. But you already feel like he's suspect anyway on many levels. But here you go, diving deep without scuba gear. I had to take care of something. So I'm back. Hold on, let me fix my microphone. So let me begin with my a new point within the same point. The fellatio and the cunnilingus are part of the reason why things are happening. The anus, the vagina, all of that is a cause for alarm. And if you ask anybody, as I said, to give up receiving fellatio, it's going to be a battle because it's pleasure. Do you know how long people have been engaging in that? And for you to then say, you can't do that anymore, or you should really consider eliminating that for being a form of pleasure that you engage in, it's just only a unique one would understand it and be willing to say, hey, I don't let anybody give me head, a fellatio. I don't let anybody give me cunnilingus. I don't do that. So if that's what you're looking for, I ain't gonna be able to do it because I just don't know where it's been. And we're talking about everyday contact that people engage in without any form of mental protection or physical protection. Now you've got to go get some hoe active because you're loose. And so is the syphilis. What do you think an outbreak is? Something that is loose. on the prowl, on the go, excuse me, seeking whom it may devour. And it's so easy to devour because who isn't having sex? But the peril aspect of it is why we need to find a way to escape. We don't know what anybody is doing. We only hope that they are doing what they say they are doing. But somebody's obviously not telling the truth. Some sisters are into escorting, and you are engaging with certain men. And some of these men, you know, you think it's all about you. You're getting broke off. You're getting all this money, these bags. You're living. You're having access to excess because of what you do. And there may be some requirements for skin-to-skin contact. You don't know where your trick has been. You don't know where your trick has been. You don't know where your zaddy, sugar daddy has been. You have no clue what he does when he leaves from you, just like he has no clue what you do when you depart from him. But when you come together and engage in sexual warfare, it's only a matter of time, because he's not telling you that he likes men too. He's not telling you that he's not only a sugar daddy to you, but he's a sugar daddy to him. That he's engaging in some shit because his other sugar baby is nastier than you, kinkier than you, freakier than you, willing to do more than you. That's why. And then when you come around for his bisexual pleasure, what do you think is happening? An intermingling of sexual plagues. You mean to tell me you don't want the Lord to slow you down? You mean to tell me you don't want the Most High God to care about you? To warn you, pull you back, chastise you, to save you from demise? You don't want that? You don't want the warnings? You just want to just drop dead? You just want to be asymptomatic your whole life? I don't want to engage in any online activity when it comes to looking for love. I don't want to enter into that dark world of looking for romance, love, relationship. I got to try the spirit by the spirit. And I have to go in a way that works best for me. And that's through that natural, everyday flow of life outside of the internet being my matchmaker. Oh, no, no, no. Because if online dating is increasing the percentage rate of the outbreak, then we need to figure out what's really going on with people who are linking up on the internet. What is this? Are people not engaging in thinking? Is it a situation where, I'm sorry, y'all. No, I'm sorry, but my bad. Perfect. Thank you. Perfect. Are we so far gone that we're not even engaging anymore in preserving our life? You want to be able to lay with your partner without a condom, your husband, your wife, but we cannot just blindly lay anymore. We have to get tested. We have to be clear and honest about what we have going on if we love each other, if we care about our child. The community, the village. This episode confirms that we are hypersexual, out of control, sneaking off and having forbidden sex, loose, contaminated, caustic, chaotic, and running out of time. Nobody wants you to stop having sex. They just want you to put on a condom. Oh, no. We don't want you to stop having sex. We just want you to go get tested. Oh, no. We can give you a penicillin, doxycycline. We got you. But just don't stop having sex, though. Please continue to be reckless and go against the law. And, please continue to make your creator mad. That's what we want. We want you all to continue to have sex because it makes your people impure. It's a dangerous game. Are you next? Are you going to go from pleasure to prescription to peril? Are you on prescriptions right now? Are you avoiding getting tested? Did the rash come? Did the rash go? Is the rash still there? Is there a sore? Is there a bump? Is there a lesion? What's going on with you? Or do you not care? 911, syphilis, the outbreak, from prescription to pleasure to peril. That's all I have for you this evening. I thank you for being a wonderful listening audience. I encourage you to get tested. I encourage you to be celibate. I encourage you to refrain. I encourage you to embrace wisdom and shun ignorance. And to stop fucking off your life just for a moment of pleasure. You don't know where that vagina has been, where that mouth has been, where that penis has been, where that mouth has been. Be encouraged and think twice. You've been a wonderful listening audience. Please continue to download these episodes and share the Sister Speak Show Network in totality with your people. Okay? Allow us to continue to be the flavor in your ear. And thank you for adding us to your podcast shuffle. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. You are a wonderful listening audience and you are warriors. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God, my rock, in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. Blessed be the name of the Lord. I will talk to you on the next episode. the devil is already defeated. Warriors, mount